So Tears of the Kingdom is coming out Friday, this upcoming Friday. We only got a few days left. Super pumped. So we're going to do everyone's favorite content and rank Zelda games. I have played them all. Now, we're not going to get into the side games, the sort of ports, HD re-releases, all of that mess, right? We're just going to go through the core series, and you're going to see what I consider the core series as I'm ranking them here, because I'm not going to rank the ones I don't. There's going to be a lot of S tiers, and the rest is pretty much going into A. I don't know. I got to really think this as we're going through here, but just because you see a bunch at the top, right, we're still going to rank them, and that's what's most important. And I don't know if I've ranked the entire series before, so I'm excited to get into this. And let's just go ahead, start with the OG, Legend of Zelda NES. I mean, it's S tier, clearly, one of the best video games ever made. And where, though? Well, let's just throw it up there. We'll get to the ranking as we go, right? Let's do that. Adventure of Link. This is about the only game that goes into B. Let's consider it the quality of NES games. B, maybe C. Let's go C, right? Because there's a lot of good NES games. There really is. It's a fine game, though. Basically, once you just understand that in the beginning, if you just level up a bunch and treat it like an RPG, you'll have a lot better time. I mean, it basically is an RPG, but you have to put that in your mind going into it in terms of going into towns, talking with people, going on quests, all of that. So, anyway, a lot of grinding. Let's move on. Let's skip ahead a little. Skyward Sword. This one's like super controversy. I like it. I mean, it's S tier. Let's say, let's go with A. I think it is A tier. It's a great Zelda game. Dungeons are phenomenal. Even the areas leading up to the dungeons are almost like their own dungeons, just because I mean, a lot of Zelda games do this, where like the area before you get to the dungeon, it is pretty complex and takes a lot of figuring out just to get inside of it. But the problem is there's a lot of retreading in this game. Now, when you retread an old area, there's a bunch of new things to do, yes. But I still would it still felt a little too treading of the same grounds, even with that in mind. The controls are totally fine. I have no issues with that. And if you do, you can play the Switch version. Anyway. A. Let's stick with that with A for right now. Let's go back. A Link to the Past. A Link to the Past here. It's S tier, clearly. I think it's better than the OG. I think so far out of all these, it's the best Zelda game. Let's see. Oracle of Ages. Let's throw that into A. Ages and Seasons, they're both similar games, similar quality. I like Ages a little more than Seasons, but they're both phenomenal. Stick both of those in A. Let's go ahead and get this Breath of the Wild out of the way. It's S tier. We'll figure out the ranking in a bit. Minish Cap, S tier. Ocarina of Time. See, this is where a lot of people. Ocarina of Time is A for me. I like Ages and Seasons even more. I like it a little over Skyward Sword. Let's do that. Majora's Mask, S tier. My favorite Zelda game so far within all of this. Okay. Majora's Mask, I mean, I think the 3DS version is a lot better too, but either way, N64 or 3DS version still would be top of this list so far. And it's so different from the rest of the games. It's still a core Zelda game. There's still like dungeons, you're still solving puzzles, you're still doing all of the Zelda stuff, right? But it doesn't take place in Hyrule. Zelda's not even in the game, right? I mean, I think it's a sequel to Ocarina of Time, and I think in the very, very beginning, does it even show her? I don't think it does. Yeah, I don't think it does. Anyway, okay, let's do Wind Waker. Wind Waker's S tier. I don't know where it fits yet. Let's not touch that yet. Let's not touch that yet. There's a lot to talk on Wind Waker. Link's Awakening. See, I think this is a good. I was gonna put in S, but I think Ages and Seasons are better than Link's Awakening. Let's throw it there for now. Let's throw it there for now. Twilight Princess. S tier for me. I understand, like, so when Wind Waker came out, right? Let's get into it. Zelda. It was a bunch of cell shading, cartoony, all of that mess, and a lot of people are upset with it. And a lot of people feel Nintendo like overcorrected, and with the next release, they like made it like all the other games in that time era of like super brown and gritty and dark and all that. Majora's Mask here is super dark and all that, but it's not just full of browns, you know. But I don't buy into any of that. I think this is basically like the spiritual successor to Ocarina of Time and the way its style is and all of that. It's not the same Link from Ocarina of Time, but they definitely strongly hint at the Link from Ocarina of Time. Anyway, inside of Twilight Princess. Let's see. Where should this go? This is Spirit Tracks. Is that Spirit? No, that's Phantom Hourglass. Phantom Hourglass is B. I think it's outside of Adventure of Link, I think it's the worst in the series. Its sequels, Spirit Tracks, is a lot better, so that goes into A. But I still think that lineup right there is looking pretty good. Now, the last core game, the rest are side stuff right here. S tier. And this is the placement. Majora's Mask. I go between these two. A Link Between Worlds is basically a Link to the Past, but just better. I mean, obviously experiencing some of the same themes for a second time doesn't hit as hard, sure, but it totally plays with your expectations. Really leans into, you have played this before, and we're gonna throw stuff at you that you weren't expecting, you know. Really awesome game. So okay, now that we're all out here, let's actually organize this a bit and clean this up and really try to rank these. But in terms of the tiers, yes, this is where they're laying in tier wise. Like Phantom Hourglass, I mean, it's cool. They tried something different. I mean, my problem with the game isn't the fact that you play with the stylus. That's fine. It's a little weird because you literally controlling Link with the stylus and you have to drag it to sort of move Link along, right? But the puzzles are really cool with the stylus and all that. I just think it's ugly, really ugly. Like DS games have not aged well at all. The lore, the feeling, the good vibes and all that, just pretty, I don't know, pretty shallow on Phantom Hourglass. Okay, let's actually try to rank these. So I'm gonna leave those. Really like Twilight Princess. I think this is what happens here. Like, the original NES game is so good, dude. So good. I mean, of course, like, yeah, it started it. That's not what I'm getting at here. You play it today, it's so good. A really fun game. Like, I'm sure most have played it watching this, but The Binding of Isaac is basically the OG Legend of Zelda, but like an entire game out of the dungeon layouts of the original game. But that's how good those dungeons are, is you can make it a whole game based around them. It's so good of like, it's that Breath of the Wild why Breath of the Wild is so good is it took that premise of like you can actually go anywhere, do anything, and you can tackle any dungeon in any order. There's a few you can't do only because you need a particular item from a different dungeon, but you can make your way there and you can go inside of it more times than not. There's a few where you need an item to even get in there, but still, like, you're able to just explore the entire land. The only thing stopping you, like, games nowadays will bring you down a pathway, right? And, oh, you need a particular island to move forward, right? This game didn't, like, feel like they were just arbitrary walls for no reason, right? Like, you legit need a flute, for example, to make something activate, but it was just that one time. It's not like the flow of the game is you keep hitting walls of needing something to continue. It only happens a handful of times, and it feels like for a greater purpose, you know? So, anyway. But is it better than Breath of the Wild? No. Right? No. Is Link to the Past better than Breath of the Wild? See, this is... I make decisions here, and I'm just hurt because I don't, you know, I'm gonna feel bad for Link to the Past if I put it above it. I'm gonna feel bad for Breath of the Wild if I don't. They're both phenomenal. We're in an S tier battle here, right? Let's see. I'm super confident that this beats the ones behind it. I'm not confident it beats between those two. That's why it's kind of, you know, like, I can debate back and forth between these, right? I can't with the ones behind it. These two are the greatest, which is wild. I never, you know, wow. But there's certain things about Twilight Princess, like its dungeons, dude. So good, so good. The dungeon where you get the spinning thing, so good. Yeah. See, Wind Waker looks so sad back here. I love the game, right? But it's like, Minish Cap is underrated, dude. It's better than Minish Cap. It is. Is it better than OG Zelda? No. Okay. I think the top row. I think the top row is solved. Let's go down here. Yeah. Ages and Seasons is better than Ocarina of Time. It is. I know a lot of people are throwing Ocarina of Time at that top row. Look, it's a great game. Of course, all of these are great. At least S and A. But we got to rank them somewhere, right? And I guess I'm an Ocarina of Time hater. If I were to make a top 10 most important video games ever created, Ocarina of Time's going to be there because it literally established 3D gaming for other people to emulate and go forward. Make video games in 3D, like they pulled so much from this game to make games good in a 3D space. Nintendo nailed it the first time. Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time. I mean, like, wow. Like, pioneers for sure in the 3D space. And they're not just like, oh, they were good for its time. They're incredible to play even today. Go back and play some other N64 games. The trash. Alright. Skyward Sword. I like them more than all these, actually. I'm thinking about it. Skyward Sword is the best A tier. There's certain key things like, okay, the sky. The sky is trash. Sky is trash. Like, Wind Waker's open sea, there was hardly anything to really do, but it was more than Skyward Sword sky. Like, really was. Skyward Sword was garbage. There's like, you know, maybe 30 cool things in Wind Waker. There's like maybe 6 cool things in the sky in Skyward Sword. Still better than Ocarina of Time. Oh! Isn't. Yeah. Skyward Sword's so fun, dude. Some of the items you get, some of the dungeons and all that, yeah, they're better. Those dungeons are far better in Skyward Sword than they are in Ocarina of Time. They really are. Ocarina of Time laid the groundwork so the rest could run. Yeah, I think this is it. Spirit Tracks is pretty good. Like, I know it's at the end here of A, and it's going to stay there, but it's pretty solid, dude. Play that one. You can skip. I keep Phantom Hourglass. You can skip that. See? Like, here's the thing. Like, I would completely skip this. This actually looks pretty good for an NES game, and there's some really cool aspects of it, but there's just so many other things that are just terrible, right? So I'll have to throw it and see. But if I just were saying like what you could get more enjoyment out of, you know, in terms of just purely that and not being critical on any other level, play Adventure Elite. Anyway, yeah, I think this is it. I mean, Breath of the Wild's phenomenal. Now, Tears of the Kingdom is coming out. This is a educated guess on how I think it's going to do. Right? I have no idea. We're just having some fun here. How do we think it's going to lay out 5 years from now? I'm doing this again. Where am I placing this, right? I think I am placing it. See, I went to a friend's, saw a bit of it, you know, saw a little bit of it. Looks phenomenal. Everything I've seen of it, I think it's better than Breath of the Wild. Could be, right? I think it could be. Because of what we've seen, the puzzles, the environments. I'm just going to lay it right there, right? Is it going to be better than A Link to the Past? Doubt it. Doubt it. You know what I mean? But I think it's going to be better than Breath of the Wild. And there's our layout. There it is. Here we go here. Zelda, Link Between Worlds. #1, dude. #1. Is that true? Dude, I love this game. It's so good. It sounds really dumb on paper. Hang with me. If you haven't played this, it's going to sound really stupid, but they do it amazingly. You can just buy the items. Like, I want to buy to have access to the boomerang. You can lose access to it. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird, but it allows you to have a ton of freedom on to go anywhere, do anything kind of level, right? It was like Skyward Sword was kind of getting there. Link to the Past really ran with it. And then we finally got the ultimate freedom of Breath of the Wild. But A Link Between Worlds was really cool because it was that blend of like, you know, not quite Breath of the Wild where we no longer have dungeons, which is so stupid. That's easily the biggest fault of Breath of the Wild. Imagine Breath of the Wild also having classic dungeons on top of it. You know, like Elden Ring. It's like open world, but you still have the legacy dungeons, right? Imagine not having those legacy dungeons in Elden Ring. It wouldn't be as good. It's still phenomenal. Elden Ring would still be phenomenal, just like Breath of the Wild is still phenomenal. But, you know, Link Between Worlds has both. Has freedom, and it has amazing Zelda structure with it. Really cool. So that's it. That's it. Okay. I'm really happy with this, actually. I'm glad I finally did this. I've been wondering where I would place what, you know. OG Zelda beating Wind Waker. Yeah. Go play it. If you don't believe me, play it, beat it. You can't play it for an hour or two and be like, I don't know what to do. This is too hard. Bro, play it with a guide if you have to. You'll understand. Play through it, beat it. It's really good. Really, 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 really good. Bosses are weird, actually. Like, right from the start, you get to that first boss, he's probably going to crush you when you're first playing it. I can fly through it because I've played it a million times. But those bosses, they'll crush you, dude. They'll crush you. All right, let's get out of here. I'll see you guys.